Yes.
And we're going to start off talking about Andy Dalton, the Dallas Cowboys, and Dak Prescott. The NFL Network's Tom Pelissero says that the Cowboys signing of Andy Dalton to a one-year deal that could be worth as much as $7 million will have no impact on Dak Prescott's contract situation or playing situation in Dallas. Mike Florio of ProFootballTalk.com says, hey, maybe the Cowboys will rescind their franchise tag on Dak Prescott. And former Cowboy Dez Bryant offered these words over Twitter. Nothing against Andy Dalton because I think he's a great player, but the Cowboys are extremely out of line. Pay Dak. I watched the Cowboys pay Tony Romo twice, once without a winning record. I guess the Cowboys viewing the QB position as a plug-in piece because of the dominant offense. All right, Marcel, let's get us rolling here. Do you think the Cowboys signing Andy Dalton will have any impact on Dak contract or even on the field?
I think it will have an impact on Dak. We already know when you're talking about a team and how they're going to build out their roster, that team construction is priority over player satisfaction. So it doesn't have to feel good that you go out there and get Andy Dalton. And Andy Dalton is a top 10 quarterback by the numbers since 2011. And how often are you going to get a top 10 quarterback for $3 million? So it was a smart move by the Dallas Cowboys. And it may be a sleepless night here or there for Dak Prescott. I've been in a position where I was the backup to a player, and I also was that player who had a backup that was chomping at the bit and on my heels because of his production and his ability. So the days where Dak Prescott doesn't have his best performance, whether it's practice or a game, and we go out there and witness Dak put up one of those average 205 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception, the chance for Andy Dalton will get louder, not only on the outside, but inside for Dak, who may have a sleepless night here or there, knowing how good his backup really is. But in totality, this was a smart move by the Dallas Cowboys. Dak Prescott and his negotiation has no concern over Andy Dalton being there. If they offered you $33 million in September before a career year, you are not in the same conversation with a backup quarterback who was just given $3 million. That is not just a discount deal. That's a completely different world. So Dak is safe in terms of his leverage, but there are going to be some sleepless nights, a little anxiety because his backup is damn good.
You know, this was nothing but a security blanket for the Dallas Cowboys. This was if somehow, some way, Dak doesn't want to take this new contract, then, yeah, Andy Dalton will be the guy going forward. Also, for McCarthy, look, you got somebody back there who's stable, that if something doesn't progress in the future with the Dallas Cowboys and Dak Prescott, they're going to immediately start to look to move Andy Dalton to that starting lineup. And we talked about this the last time I was in the show. We talked about the available free agents. I don't know if you guys remember that, but the available free agents that was there, I brought up the fact that it would be smart for the Dallas Cowboys to bring in Andy Dalton, and we talked about it at the time for $17 or $18 million, but they're getting him for, what, $7 million? I mean, you can't get a better deal than this. So I always felt that this was going to happen. I didn't think that would happen this fast. I didn't think that it will happen in this manner because of what Marcellus just said. They offered Dak such a big contract already. You're not just moving along from him. You're not just making a conscious decision going into this season that you're trying to move it to Andy. But let me tell you, this is a security blanket. If Dak Prescott does not take this contract that's offered to him and it moves on to next season, Dak Prescott won't be there. Andy Dalton will be the starting quarterback for the Dallas Cowboys.
Yeah, I think this has significant impact. I think this is a clear sign to me that the Cowboys' level of frustration with Dak Prescott has reached a new level and a dangerous level. I think that if I'm Jerry Jones, if I'm Stephen Jones, if I'm Mike McCarthy, I think I start in my mind going like, hey, man, have we created Frankenstein with Dak Prescott? They love this kid. They've supported him with a tremendous offensive line, a great running back. They went out and got receiving help for him. They built the pieces around Dak for Dak to have success. Dak took that and then basically said, he and his agent, Now I need to be the highest paid player in the NFL. I need to be the highest paid quarterback in the NFL. And I think Jerry Jones and these guys, well, hold on, man. No. When the Dak Prescott plan never, ever included making you the highest paid player in the NFL, highest paid quarterback in the NFL. It was always about surrounding you with the right pieces. To me, they've signed Andy Dalton, and I think it would be very hard for someone to argue to me that Andy Dalton, when playing at his highest level in Cincinnati, to me, every bit as good as Dak Prescott and what we've seen from him playing at his highest level in Dallas. You move Andy Dalton to the pieces that Dak has had supporting him, I'm not sure there's really a difference, or if Andy Dalton wouldn't have outperformed Dak Prescott. I think this is a significant move in the relationship between the Cowboys and Dak Prescott. I think Dak's leverage has been really damaged here in a negotiating front. I see this whole thing, Marcellus, as very significant.
I think it was a significant move, but not with significant impact. Remember, this move didn't come because of plan. These are unintended consequences. Basically, Andy Dalton fell in their lap because of the circumstances. Even Andy Dalton said, I didn't expect to be a free agent in this situation, and because I hit the free agency late, that devalued him. But his production is his production. So what do you expect the Dallas Cowboys to do? Go out there and find a worse backup quarterback? Like, you know what? We don't want to really tick off Dak, so let's get someone worse. Or let's just stick with Ben DiNucci and see how that plays out in case Dak finally gets hurt in the game and misses some time. So I understand that they Mr. Magoo their way into this situation. They didn't really see this coming, and it's here. But Dak, literally and figuratively, is in a different stratosphere than Andy Dalton in terms of what he's going to be compensated and what they expect of him as their franchise leader. Let's all remember that being a franchise quarterback is more than the numbers. Ask a Tom Brady and other elite quarterbacks. You have to have leadership. You have to inspire men. Nothing about Andy Dalton in crunch time has inspired the masses. And that's no shot at Andy Dalton. That's just showing what his record resembles. So I think with Dak, he's safe, even though he has a backup that is ready to go out there in case of emergency.
You know, in my opinion, you don't bring in a guy like Andy Dalton who started this long in the league, and I understand about his playoff wins and his accomplishments down the road. I get that he is not there. You don't bring a backup quarterback that started, that's produced in the National Football League for 9 years to just be a backup. I think going forward, if Dak Prescott does not sign this contract, Andy Dalton, they're already looking to move him as that starting role and saying, you know what, Dak, we tried our best. We gave you an offensive lineman. We gave you the best running back in football. We gave you a hell of a defense. You still won't sign a contract. We might as well save $15 million a year and figure out a way to keep Andy Dalton here because, mind you, Andy Dalton is not old. He's not beat up. He can still play. So if they can get 4 or 5 years production, not even just as much production as Dak Prescott, but if they can get the same or even close to amount of production that Dak Prescott got, they will already be looking to move forward as Andy Dalton is starting quarterback. If you're Dak Prescott, you have to be looking at this a little bit as a slap in the face. You have to. Because it's not like you're bringing a guy off the street and saying, you know, if he gets hurt or whatever, we have a stable quarterback who can come in and play. You brought a starting quarterback that's produced in the National Football League for 9 years to be my backup. That you're telling me that as soon as I don't perform, as soon as you're not getting what you want out of me, or as soon as I don't sign this contract, I'm out. This is a clear-cut indication that if Dak Prescott does not sign this contract, they are going to move on after this year.
Listen, I want to go back to it, and Marcellus, I want you to quickly respond to this, and maybe you too, Shawne. Someone convinced me that Dak Prescott's a better quarterback than Andy Dalton. Because when I go look at Andy Dalton, I'm going to go back to 2015 when they had Andrew Whitworth I think at left tackle and Andre Smith at right tackle. Those were their two tackles. Solid offensive line, Mohamed Sanu, A.J. Green, Tyler Eifert at tight end. That Cincinnati team went 12-4. Andy Dalton threw 25 TDs, 7 interceptions. I don't see a big difference between Andy Dalton and Dak Prescott in terms of talent or production. When Andy Dalton is surrounded with the kind of pieces they have in Dallas, I think he's every bit as good as Dak Prescott. Marcellus, you agree or disagree with that?
I disagree. Look, there is a difference, and that difference has to be measured and respected. Dak has the second most wins as a starting quarterback since he's been in the league, and he's not behind Andy Dalton. And that's on Andy Dalton right there. So if you want to continue to win, if you want to continue to put yourself in a better situation, I'm not having a talent conversation. You stop having those after the combine for any prospect. It's about how it materializes and inspires others. That's where Dak Prescott certainly has the lead over Andy.
You know, I've always felt that Andy Dalton, if they brought him in, we talked about it several months ago, if they brought Andy Dalton in, you're going to get the same production and worst case, maybe a little drop-off that you have with Dak Prescott. And for the money that Dak is asking, you have to factor all these things in. Look, I'm not saying that Andy Dalton is a better quarterback. I'm not saying he's a better leader. I'm not saying he has anything over Dak Prescott. But for what the Dallas Cowboys have already put down on the table, they're already telling you, hey, we want you to be here long term. But if you can't make a decision, let us help you make the decision for you. And that's what's going on right now. They brought somebody in that's basically telling them, like, we want you here. But just in case you don't want to be here, this is what we got. So it did put a lot of pressure on Dak Prescott going forward. We watched it with Aaron Rodgers. We watched it for the last 20 years in the National Football League. I seen the same thing that happened with Drew Brees and Phillip Rivers. I sat there and watched the whole thing. You bring somebody in who's capable of playing, and even if Drew Brees panned out, you already have someone else there ready to go. This is the same type of situation. Andy Dalton has produced. I'm not saying that he's a Super Bowl caliber quarterback. I'm not saying that he's won a bunch of playoff games or anything like that. But if you're talking about the money difference and what you're getting right now for Andy Dalton and Dak Prescott, what you're getting right now is not going to be that much of a drop-off. So they were smart by at least bringing him in, paying him what they're paying him, and at least put some pressure on Dak Prescott.
Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get the latest from the show. And be sure to check out more of the best clips from Speak For Yourself, or go watch a few segments from our other shows on FS1.